Small business owners, those with less than 50 employees, don't have any requirement to provide health insurance to their employees, but many still do, and many more are considering doing so. The Affordable Care Act provides them with the Small Business Health Options Program, or SHOP. These plans are supposed to provide employers with a way to purchase group health insurance at rates similar to those paid by larger companies, while at the same time receiving a special tax credit for providing coverage for their employees. That all sounds good, but as with most government programs, the devil is in the details. We've developed this calculator to give employers a quick and easy way to compare the SHOP plans available to what is quickly becoming the alternative of choice, the Defined Contribution Private Exchange Model. Although it doesn't have a nifty acronym like SHOP, in most cases it has the advantage of being less expensive for both the employees and the employer, while providing the employees with more choices. Under the Defined Contribution Private Exchange Model, employers for the first time in history can fix their health insurance costs, while providing better coverage at a lower cost to their employees. Some of the companies who have already begun the move to some form of the private exchange model include Sears, Walgreens, IBM, Time Warner, Darden Restaurants, and Papa John's. But in comparison to those large companies with HR departments and lots of attorneys on staff, the typical small employer has to make these decisions on their own, and in general they're confused about SHOP. Does a SHOP plan make financial sense for me and my employees? Do I qualify for a premium tax credit, and if so, how much? What other options does my company have, and how much do they cost? All good questions that you can answer using this calculator. Now remember, I said it was quick and easy, and it is. It was designed to provide a general outline of options available, to get you into the ballpark, so to speak. Most of the time, these decisions are not driven by a few $100s. The difference between a SHOP plan and the Defined Contribution Private Exchange Model is more often than not thousands of dollars. So once you have decided to explore the private exchange model further, a detailed analysis of your company's employee census is available free of charge at www.acamadeeasy.com. To start the calculator, you need to provide a minimal amount of information. Input the number of full-time employees you have. Note that owners should not be counted as employees. Also note that this is the only place in the Affordable Care Act where a full-time employee is defined as someone working 40 hours per week instead of 30 hours. Enter the total number of part-time hours worked in a year. To qualify for a premium tax credit, you have to have 24 or fewer full-time and full-time equivalent employees. The number of full-time equivalents is calculated by taking the total number of part-time hours and dividing by 2,080. You don't have to include hours worked by anyone who worked less than 120 days, as they are considered seasonal employees and don't count towards your total employee number. Enter the average gross income for all of your full-time employees, and next pick a percentage of the employee's health premiums you're willing to pay. The minimum is 50% to qualify for a premium tax credit. The value shown for the average premium for an employee is the average premium for individuals ages 20 to 60 in Missouri and Kansas for a silver plan. You can change this if you have specific information that is relevant to your situation, but in general we advise that you leave it at the default value. Finally, input your corporate tax rate. Even if you didn't pay taxes last year, you still have a minimum tax rate that applies. Now we're ready to look at the results. So let's click on the Recommendations tab. There are three options that will appear here under various scenarios. The first is that the Defined Contribution Private Exchange model of providing health insurance is simply less expensive for both the employees and the employer in comparison to a SHOP plan. The second is that the Defined Contribution Private Exchange model is slightly more expensive for the employees. The employer can still save money compared to the SHOP plan if he or she is willing to pay the employees a little extra to make up for the difference in their higher premiums. Finally, there are some scenarios where it appears that the SHOP plan is less expensive for both the employee and the employer, but this calculator does not take into account the employee's family situation and the additional cost involved in administering a SHOP plan. It only considers a single employee with no dependents. A single adult making $50,000 a year does not qualify for a federal subsidy. The same adult with 3 children qualifies for over $2,700 in federal subsidies. Under this scenario, a detailed analysis of your company's census is in order. We offer that analysis for free. Just click on the link at the bottom of the page to get started. For those of you who wonder how we got the numbers in the recommendations, an analysis tab has been provided with an overview of the calculations. Of particular interest is the fact that if you take a premium tax credit, the tax credit itself reduces the amount of premiums you as an employer can take as a business deduction. In other words, if you pay $22,500 in premiums on behalf of your employees and are eligible for an $11,250 tax credit, you have to subtract $11,250 from the tax-deductible premiums. In effect, you're paying your corporate tax rate on whatever tax credit you receive. That number is reflected here as the tax on ineligible premiums and is not reflected on healthcare.gov's premium tax credit calculator. There are some additional tax considerations regarding whether funds are pre-tax or post-tax and the impact of those funds on FICA, as well as an analysis of which premiums are actually deductible. Those calculations have not been included here. This calculator is intended to give employers and their financial advisors a 30,000-foot view of SHOP and the most viable alternative. Before making a final decision, each employer should run a detailed analysis of their company's census, which is available free of charge at acamadeeasy.com. Now let's get started and find out which plan best fits you and your company. Just click on the Company Profile tab below.